So today we will discuss on data provider annotation. What is data provider? So data provider annotation is used to supply the data for a test method. We can supply the data to your test method. So why do you need this data provider? If you want to do a data-driven testing, you want to do a data-driven test. What is data-driven testing? So if you want to test one scenario with different sets of data, not same set of data, multiple sets of data, but different sets of data you want to test, then you can store all those data sets in the data provider annotation, and that data you can supply to your test method, so that your test method can take that data one by one, and so it will read and perform one set of action. Again, next set of, from the beginning, it will start with other set of data. Scenario is same, but only data will change. Like, you want to create multiple users. Manually, if you want to create, it will take a lot of time, right? So instead of that, in the automation, you can finish in 1 minute or 2 minutes. But manually, even one account also you cannot finish in 1 minute. But it will create so very quickly with automation. So that's the advantage with this automation testing. You can achieve that data-driven testing using this data provider annotation. But how it will be supplied? So basically, this data provider annotation returns a object two-dimensional array. Returns object two-dimensional array. So it returns object to two-dimensional array. So where each object can be assigned with a parameter list of a test method. The test method that wants to receive data from this data provider needs to use the data provider name equals to the name of this annotation. The name of this annotation. So that is the data provider annotation means. So if you see here, public class data provider demo and @data provider, you can give a name for this data provider. In same class, you can write multiple @data providers. Multiple @data providers. So that's the advantage in TestNG. So you can create a object to two-dimensional array, data equal to new object. So rows and columns. I don't know how many of you remembered your so arrays, two-dimensional array concept. So this is the similar concept here. See, this method is returning object to two-dimensional array. So the return type of this data provider annotation is you have to give answer object to two-dimensional array. That's the interview question also. So what is the return type of
object method
data provider annotation?
data provider annotation.
So you have to give answer object to two-dimensional array, it returns. Now, so what this rows tells you, what this columns tells you? Rows tells you number of times test has to be executed. Columns will tell you number of parameters in the test. Okay. So rows tells you, okay, how many times
Times
your
of
test has to be
stated.
executed. That's the count. that many rows of data you're going to. Columns will tell you number of parameters in the test method. So the parameter count is the columns count. Rows count is you decide how many sets of data you want to give. That is the rows. So object to two-dimensional array. So data equal to new object, 3 rows and 2 columns. That means 3 sets of data I'm going to give for
Two
two
columns.
parameters, 2 columns. 2 columns means basically username login scenario means there is only 2 parameters, right? One username and password. So those are the 2 parameters I am giving here. And object two-dimensional array data equal to new object, see 3 rows and 2 columns. See first row data 0th row and 0th column. This is the one. Data 0th row first column. So first column, second column here, password. So here can you observe here the row is fixed but column is incremented. Column is incremented. So second row data 1 0. So username 2 and password 2. Data 1 1. So third row, see row is fixed and column is going to increment. Third row first column, third row second column. So 3 sets of data we provided. 3 sets of data we have provided. So that's the how we can give usernames and passwords. So that is the so we will store. See, we are storing the data here, and then finally return this two-dimensional array. See, array name I am returning. Once you store the data in the data provider annotation, I need to supply this data to my test method. So here is the one test method. At the rate test, see data provider equal to this name you have to provide. Whatever the name you are giving, that name you need to provide. Suppose you haven't provided this name, you can give this method name. If name is not there, you can give method name so that your test method can understand, okay, I have to go and get the data for this username and password from this data provider method. Then it will go and pick the username, first username. So it will come and store in this place, and the password it will come and store here. Then you can use username password here. And second, so and one iteration is done with the first username password, then automatically you don't need to write a loop also. This second username will store here, the second iteration, and it will take the second password here. So wherever you use this parameter inside the method, this value will be replaced automatically. But we used the parameters only here inside the method, but while execution time, it will take these values, the value will be replaced wherever you are using the parameter, and the same third. So username 3 and password 3. So it will come and repeats it. So this is how it will continue how many sets are there, that many times this test method will execute. See the three rows, right? 3 times this test case will execute from the first to last. Okay, which each different, each time different sets of data. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So that is the data provider annotation means. So why you need a data provider annotation? Data provider annotation is used to do a data driven testing. What is data driven testing? So same scenario we can test with multiple sets of data. That is called data driven testing. Testing the same scenario with multiple sets of data, different sets of data. That is called data driven testing. So how can you achieve that data driven testing in Java Selenium? Using TestNG annotation, that is called data provider annotation. So listen this video multiple times. So these questions you can answer easily. Okay. That is the data provider annotation. Next, at the rate parameters annotation. So at the rate parameters annotation means how we will supply parameters to a test method. So we need to declare parameters tag in XML file. We need to declare parameter tag in XML file. So using name and value attributes. You have to give name and value attributes in the XML file. XML means a suit file. So yesterday I explained, right, suit file. Today also I repeated again. A suit file format is first suit tag will be there. Suit tag inside attributes name and different attributes will be there. Verbose, parallel. So these attributes will be there in the suit tag. Suit tag after what is the next tag? Test tag.
Tested.
Test tag after what is the next tag?
After student. Each.
Suit
After
wise it will
each.
come. XML tags I'm asking. Classes tag. So classes tag will come after test tag. Test tag after classes tag. Test tag inside classes tag will be there. Classes tag inside class tag will be there. Class tag inside methods tag will be there. That's the order. Then close in the same order. Inner to outer you close it. First methods tag will close. Class tag will close. Classes tag will close. Test tag. Then suit tag will close. That's the order of testng.xml. So in this XML, even you can include parameters tag also. There is a parameter tag. You want a class above or you want a test tag above, where you want these parameters. So you can supply parameter values from XML. Directly you are not hard coding in the test case. You can hide them from test by placing the parameter values, username, password, or any data, any kind of data, or browser name, anything you can store in XML file, and from there you can supply to your test method. That's another approach how you can hide no storing the data in the XML file. You can store and then you can avoid no hard coding the values in the test case. You can avoid hard coding the values in the test method. So when the name attribute of the tag defines name of the parameter in your TestNG class, and value attribute defines the value of the parameter. So parameter names are declared inside the class and above the method. Parameter names are declared inside the class and above the method. That's the a parameter, how you can so supply. Let's see still example, parameter demo. The parameters, you specify what parameters you are giving for your test method. So test, public void test, string parameter 1, comma string parameter 2. So this parameter 1 and parameter 2 you can give to these parameter values are going to come from. So this parameter, see whatever the parameters you declared here in the test method also you have to declare parentheses inside, you have to declare parameters, right? So you can declare here. So this parameter name you have to use here. So somebody what they did, I saw some students, the parameter names they will put in double quotes. That means they are not clear on the how parameters are used and how values will be replaced for those parameters. Parameter is something you have to, as it is parameter name you have to put. You cannot put in double quotes. If you put in double quotes, that will be treated as a value, not the parameter. So make sure you do that. Parameter 1. So this parameter name I am just replacing here. So when the value comes, and it will come first the value for this parameter 1, and then automatically it will replace here. So whatever the parameter 2 value comes here, that will be replaced here. So this is the parameters how you will declare for any annotation method, not only for test method. You can, this parameters annotation you can use for even other annotation methods also. You can use for other annotation methods also. Then how to create a testng.xml file. So you can right click, and but this is in the testng, sorry, in Eclipse it is very easy. But here no, you can install one plugin and automatically that testng.xml file will create when you select the class. Automatically it will create the testng.xml. This is the testng.xml format. Again I am repeating one more time. This is the third time, right? Third or fourth time I am repeating. Suit tag, name attribute, name value, parallel equal to none. So that means you are not running parallelly. So you can give basically here the values for parallel attribute is either classes, tests, methods, or instances. These are the parallel attribute values you need to pass. Then suit tag after immediately test tag. Test tag name you can pass. Any name you can give, user defined names. Even suit name also, your project name generally people will give. Test name also you can give what test name you want. Then so I have two parameters, right? So I have two parameters here, right? This is the parameter 1, parameter 2. Each parameter, one parameter tag you have to create here. Parameter tag and name attribute and value attribute. So parameter name is this one. So this parameter from where it will come? Whatever you declared here. Whatever you declared here, right? Same name you have to use here. And the value is, you pass what is the value you want to give there. And even same, each parameter, one parameter tag you have to write. This is the username, suppose, and this is the password. And you give the password here and username here. So like that, each parameter, one parameter tag will be there. Then classes tag. Class name equal to package name dot class name. Class name equal to package name dot class name 2. And then close the classes tag and close the test tag and close the suite tag. So this is how you can supply suite tags and then remaining test tags. Okay, so this is the suite file general syntax, and we need to remember this format. They will ask to write this syntax also. So make sure you practice multiple times. So if you don't have parameters, then these two won't be there. Then only soup tag, test tag, classes tag, class tag, then close the classes tag, close the test tag, close the soup tag. See this, see, while closing is the inner one I am closing, then this classes outer is test tag, I am closing the test tag, then outer is soup tag. While opening outer to inner, while closing inner to outer. That's the procedure. Even brackets, these tags, all are like that only. Now at that test annotation. So as I already mentioned, what is meant by at the rate test annotation?
Make a class name.
Hmm?
Maintain the class methods.
What is mean by at the rate test annotation? See, TestNG. So Janet, you didn't prepare.
Be
That's the
class.
problem, guys. Ah. So at the rate test means it's a test case, which represents it's a test case. So any method if you annotate as a test, that means it is a test case. Then your JUnit and TestNG will recognize as a test case that one. If you don't mention at the rate test, that will not be treated as a test case. Okay. So with this at the rate test, what are the keywords you can use? What are the parameters you have with at the rate test? The first one is data provider keyword. So the name of the data provider for this test method, you can give as a data provider. This keyword is used to map between data provider and a test method syntax. So at the rate test and at the rate data provider, the relationship will be established by this data provider keyword. So like this, at the rate test, see, data provider equal to data provider name or data provider method name. So this is how you are mapping. So you are mapping data provider and data provider method name. You have to map that. And depends on groups. So depends on groups. This list of groups, this method depends on. Okay. So at the test depends on groups. So group name, that means this method, this test method depends on this group. First this group will execute. If it is successful, then it will come and execute this group. If this group is not successful, failed, and this group will skip. If this method, this group is failed, and this method will skip. That's the depends on methods means, or depends on groups means. Depends on groups is that's the concept. And depends on methods. So the list of methods, this method depends on. So at the rate syntax, at the rate test depends on methods equal to curly bracket method name 1, method name 2. public void D method. So you can say this method depends on method 1 and method 2. So always run equal to true. If you set always run equal to true, and this test method will execute always. This test method will execute always. And at the rate test always run equal to true depends on methods equal to. So, and you can give the method names here. That means T1 depends on T. If T is successful, then T1 will execute. If T is not successful, T1 won't execute. It will be counted as a skipped. It will skip. That is the how this depends on methods will work. Suppose even the T method fails and you don't need to stop this, then write always run equal to true. Means you are telling irrespective of this status, you execute T1. That's what this always run equal to true is going to do. It will force the test case to execute it. If you don't write always run equal to true, depends on method is failed, the T method is failed, obviously T1 method will skip. So if you write always run equal to true, and it doesn't matter what status this method is there, and it will execute always. Next, description field. So you can give the description for the method using description keyword. So the syntax is like this: at the rate test description equal to, write a small description about this test method, what it is doing. Then enabled. So you want to disable the test cases. So you want to know whether your method of the class or method is enabled or not. You can do with enabled equal to false. If you do, that will skip automatically. So at the rate test enabled equal to false, if you write, that will skip automatically. So that's the interview question also. How can you skip the test cases in Java Selenium? Using at the rate test enabled equal to false. You have to give the answer. Next, expected exceptions. You are expecting some exceptions should be present there. If so, TestNG couldn't find that exception, and then it will throw test as a failure. Test will be marked as a failure. Test will be marked as a failure. So the syntax is at the rate test expected exceptions equal to, you can give exception names, all the exception names here, to which exceptions you want to so throw them.